So Rachel, coping in hospital, for you, that's almost like a lifelong journey up until your transplant. How did you manage it?
Spending, 3 weeks in hospital when you're 17 or 18 and all your friends are out having fun was really, really hard. When I turned 18, I would go to adult hospitals and no longer be in children's ward. And of course, that's hard as well because you're around quite elderly people who are quite sick and you're a young person thinking, what am I doing here? You're not comfortable. Luckily, I had my parents visit me every day. Every morning, they'd bring me coffee. My friends would come in. But yeah, that's a really, really hard thing to go through. And yeah, it's lonely and it's not nice, but I think that's just, what you have to do when you're sick. You get on with it, I guess.
Yeah. And I guess I didn't have that. I had, that same shock of going to hospital and all the older people around there and struggling to manage why I was in there with them. But for you, I guess going from a children's hospital where there's a lot of focus on, I guess, additional help with you and making sure you understand things, and that transition into an adult hospital, was there a gap there for you where you were just like, oh, well, this is full on?
Yeah, it's definitely confronting. Being in a room sometimes with 3 other people who are elderly, coughing, spluttering, you didn't feel comfortable. You obviously didn't want to be there. And generally just adult hospitals are a lot just not as patient focused, I guess. With short staffing and whatever else goes on, it's really difficult. The children's hospital, while Snow Hospital is nice, it was nicer. That have paintings and bright things happening. The doctors would come around and see you probably more often and make sure they explain things really thoroughly. And there's more focus on your well-being, I think, when you're young. So, yeah, the hardest times being in hospital was being in the adult hospitals. I probably spent, 2 years of the adult hospital in and out every couple of months before the transplant, and did not like it.
Yeah, and how did you manage it? How did you rise above that tipping point where you just like, well, this is full on? What changed?
You have no other choice.
Yeah.
It's just, this is where we're at. And I would, beg to my mum to take me home, pick me up. And, she'd say, like, sorry, like this is the only place you can be to get well, to have IV antibiotics and to recover. I think the only thing that kept me really sane was having my dad come in every morning. He'd bring me the paper, some food, a coffee, and we just sit out in the patient kind of common area and hang out for a bit. And that was something to look forward to every day, I think was really important because it is really lonely and isolating sitting in a hospital room. So having something to look forward to and, having friends visit, as much as you don't like people seeing you when you're unwell, it's really important to let people come and visit.
Exactly. And those common rooms are a blessing when you're in a 4-bedded room, isn't it? That escape, like you said.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I had friends who were also had cystic fibrosis and in hospital. So if they were in the hospital at the same time as me, we'd have, order takeaway and do dinner in the common room together and kind of have a little community of, I guess, the young kids in the adult hospital.
Oh, that's great. That's a good idea.